So, this is the Joy of Necromancy. It is a dark humor fantasy book. It is about Alistar Wintry IV. He is trying to make a deal with the Undead God Limbo in order to bring back his mother, his lady mother, who has passed. Thankfully, she left him a cookbook with all of her knowledge of the occult. So, we're going to dig right in if you go two are ready. Ready? Well, ready or not, here we go. I, Sir Alistar Lachlan Wintry IV, wanted to be a necromancer, not a therapist. But that didn't stop Limbo, the undead god, from whining at me. In macabre robes, he reclined in his chassis lounge in the Wintry Castle's study. It irked me that he'd rejected my nice Nazirian summoning circle with the black candles and the bird bone relics in favor of plush cushioning. All I wanted was to resurrect my lady mother, not listen to his drivel. "It's not fair," Limbo pouted, twisting his long, dark ponytail in an ungodly fashion. "Life favors death with gifts of creation, but never sends me anything. No plants, no animals, no love for little Limbo." Twilight's thunderstorm boomed, almost causing me to drop my tray on the polar bear skin rug. Lightning illuminated the stained glass window where my lady mother Elspeth Wintry's visage glared down at our seating area. Sea-stone glass captured her sharp blue eyes, pale countenance, and the long dark hair. She would be angry that Limbo had his shoes on the furniture. "Your kin sound unkind, Lord Limbo." I placed my offerings on the coffee table between our seats. "Care for a scone?" Limbo plucked a scone and examined it with dark, brooding eyes. I had to remind myself that he was the god between gods, and not just some boy my own 17 years of age. The hearth's heat tickled the back of my neck as I poured us ginger tea. Its light twinkled off the bookshelves' crystal knickknacks and the knightly armor flanking the door. "They are, aren't they? Limbo lit up as he bit into a scone. "Oh, is that lemon?" "Yes, my lord. Our cook is excellent." I adjusted my bifocals before taking my seat in the armchair opposite him. On one end of the table, next to me, rested a chest filled with resurrection spell ingredients, and, most importantly, Mother's cookbook, titled The Joy of Necromancy. Boom! The tome contained all her occult knowledge. As I rested my hand on it, I felt a pulse, like a heartbeat. "Lemons are another thing that life gives to death. She's such a sour sport. And don't even get me started on the animal kingdom. Have you ever seen a platypus, Allie?" "It's Alistar, my lord, and yes, They're absurd! A ridiculous creation on life's part, and worse, death won't share one with me. It's not fair." "No, my lord." I took a sip of tea. "Siblings are such trouble. Tell me, Allie, do you have any siblings?" I inhaled ginger and fell into a coughing fit. Katrina's face flashed in my mind, a blonde bob cut, covering sharp green eyes and a sly smile. I banished her with a shake of the head. My older sister didn't deserve pity after what she'd done to Mother. Limbo and Alistar. "No," I said, after recovering. "Not anymore. I took care of that." "How so?" "Carriage accident." As I spoke, the circle's black candles flickered, and an unnatural cold swelled despite the blazing hearth. I winced as the rattling chains echoed through the rafters. What terrible timing for the poltergeist. Limbo sipped his tea. Ghost infestation?" "Yes," I sighed, at being reminded of Wintry Castle's many hauntings. They had always been there, but they had worsened after Mother's death. "Good to see my domain isn't completely ignored." Limbo set down his teacup. Castles are breeding grounds for unresolved business. Make souls easier to steal from death. Would you tell me more about that? If I helped solve Limbo's problem, he may help solve mine. Have you tried talking to your siblings? Talk to them? Limbo examined me for the first time. His perception bored deeper than my slim velvet green surcoat, frosted blonde locks, and jaded irises. Being observed by Limbo felt like having one's soul plucked from this plane of existence, weighed, measured, and tossed back into the body. My head felt light and my vision blurred before he turned those bottomless eyes away. Limbo shook his head. That's madness. No, I like your first idea better. What's the carriage accident equivalent for a god? I don't know. I exhaled the words in a shaky breath, grateful to be unseen. The wide pantheon of Nazirian gods were worshipped, feared, and summoned, but never broken or bound. At least that's not what I found in the library studies. At least not that I'd found in my library studies. The big three, life, death, and limbo, could ignore summoning. Limbo answering me tonight was a miracle, even if he'd already forgotten my platypus offering. Well, what use are you, then? Limbo stood and grabbed a scone. You've provided sufficient company, so I'll spare you from an undecided eternity. But this audience is at an end. You can't leave. Thrusting myself upright, I grasped Limbo's arm. I didn't summon you here to complain about your existence. I summoned you here to revive my mother. Limbo's boyish presence shifted in the twilight. I no longer held an arm any more than a man can grasp a storm. Darkness engulfed the study, extinguishing the firelight. Only lightning flashes provided me any semblance of sight. You do not command me, boy. Limbo's voice boomed. I covered my ears and fell to my knees. His tempest whipped at me, demanding subjugation. This was how I ended? No. No! The storm screamed to me, and I screamed back. You're not the only one abandoned! The storm circled me, trapping my soul in the eye of Limbo's rage. Sweat soaked my slim, shivering body like rainwater. The undead god coalesced back into his boyish form. But in his ineffable gaze, the storm threatened to return. Speak. Family is cruel. My father deserted me. My sister killed my mother, so I avenged her. They've all left me for death's oblivion. Both our families have forsaken us, Lord Limbo. Let us take revenge on those that made us feel small and lonely. If you give me your power of rot, I'll steal life's gifts from death and give them to you instead. Let me be your necromancer. Limbo tilted his head back and laughed. His storm evaporated, but his laughter shook the castle's foundation, knocking dust from the arch rafters and shattering Mother's stained glass window. Sea stone glass fell. I covered my head, wincing as a stray piece slashed my right forearm. Outside, a thunderstorm raged and whipped the ocean into a frenzy. Limbo paid no mind as the rain poured in. A necromancer, he gave me a skeletal grin. Now that would drive brother and sister mad. Fine, Allie. Throw in that lemon scone recipe and you'll have my rot. Thank you. I leapt to my feet, but Limbo held up a hand. Yeah, scones. But if you fail to raise your mother by dawn's light, my power will consume you. Knowing this, will you still become my necromancer? For eternity. My hesitation died with Mother. Every sleepless night in the library, robbed grave, and the menagerie theft that led me to this moment. Then take my hand. Limbo stretched forth a cold palm, and I shook it. Power flooded into my flesh in my right hand. I gasped as rot mixed into my bones, folded into my blood, and baked itself into my very soul. Of all the sensations, I haven't expected it to be so filling. Is this what gods feel like all the time? If so, how did Limbo have room for all those scones? Limbo released my hand, and I collapsed to my knees. Best of luck, Allie. With a snap, the undead god vanished and left me in the ruined study. Blood and water soaked into my boots. Untamed rot radiated from my fingertips. I smiled to myself as the last rays of dusk faded to night. With Limbo's power, I would never be alone again.